Valentine's Day is all about couples in love, but what about bachelors and bachelorettes? Well, they can celebrate with this cocktail from 1910 called a Bachelor's Rose, or Bachelorette's Rose if you like. We'll also touch on the tradition of sending Valentine's Day cards, both the nice kind and the not so nice kind. This time on Drinking History. So this drink comes from the 1910 edition of Jack's Manual by J.A. Grohusko, and it includes Sloe gin, and that's Sloe, S-L-O-E, not S-L-O-W. It's gin made with sloe berries. And in England, it's very often homemade, but they do have several commercial varieties. This one that I'm using is Hayman's from London. They've been around since 1863, but there are several others that are very, very good. But let's give this one a try. Just a bit there. That is nice. So, Sloe gin sometimes gets a bad reputation for being really sweet. And it is sweet. It has this kind of plum jamminess to it that is really, really great. Very, very fruity, very fruit forward, but because it's gin, it still has that kind of clean, crisp finish that you expect with a gin. So it's not sickly sweet, though it can be, but this one is not sickly sweet, and especially when it's mixed with sour ingredients like it's going to be in this cocktail. Now, it can be kind of hard to find in a lot of liquor stores, at least here in the US. It is becoming more popular, but if you have trouble finding it, I'm going to put a link to this one in the description where I got it from Curiata. But like I said, there are lots of brands that are actually quite good. What you want to stay away from is any brand that is made in the US, because they typically use a relative of the sloe berry, and just go with one that's made in England. Bachelor's Rose. Juice of half a lemon, juice of half a lime, juice of half orange, white of egg, 25% raspberry syrup, 75% sloe gin. Fill glass with cracked ice, shake well, strain, and serve. So it's real simple. We just put all the citrus juice here, and don't forget it's upside down. It's the exact opposite way that I very often do it. You get more juice that way, though you don't actually need a ton of juice for this. Our citrus tends to be a little bit larger than it probably was at this time, so don't go overboard, otherwise it's just gonna be real sour. The orange doesn't even fit in there, so I'm just squeezing it and getting orange juice all over myself. Then add the egg white. This is going to make it so it's a nice frothy drink. And then we'll do about a ½ ounce of raspberry syrup. Mind you, it is not raspberry liquor, it's just raspberry syrup. I'm using Monin. I'll put a link in the description if you want that, but there are several that you can find at a lot of liquor stores. Then we'll do about 1½ ounces of the sloe gin. Add some ice. And shake. Then just strain it into a beautiful glass like this Nick and Nora glass. I love these glasses. It ends up being real foamy on the top, so it's this wonderful pink color. It's Bachelor's Rose. That's where they get the name, I guess. Clever. Let's give it a try. I love that froth. Yeah, that's nice. That the sweetness is really dampened with all of that citrus. You still get the flavors though. You get the raspberry, you get that jammy kind of plum from the sloe gin without the sweetness. I mean, it is a sweet drink. I like sweet drinks, but it's not as sweet as a lot of cocktails that you're going to get at a bar today. There is a little acidity right at the very end, which is nice. Oh, and then it actually separates very well. So you get that foam on the top, and then just a beautiful pink hue there all over the bottom. And it's kind of perfect with that sweet and sour for our topic today, which is Valentine's and Vinegar Valentines. Valentine's Day, the holiday incarnation of romance and, if not passion, then restrained, publicly acceptable admiration. Kind of the perfect holiday for the Victorians, especially with the popularization of the Valentine card and the uniform penny post, better known as the first postage stamp. This made it possible to express your feelings of esteem to someone without having to be in their physical presence. And so in England, leading up to Valentine's Day in 1840, Valentine cards went flying through the mail at such a rate that they had to give the postman a special stipend for refreshments to keep their energy up during the long hours. And many who were used to doing their route on foot had to go by omnibus. The letters in St. Valentine so vastly will amount, postmen may judge them by the lot, they won't have time to count. They must bring round spades in measure, to poor lovesick souls, deliver them by bushels, the same as they do coals. And ladies' pleasure will evince, instead of any fuss, to have their lovers' letters all delivered with a bus. Though as popular as they were becoming, not everyone liked them. In the New York Times in 1856, an article read, "Our beaux and belles are satisfied with a few miserable lines neatly written upon fine paper, or else they purchase a printed valentine with verses ready-made, some of which are costly, and many of which are cheap and indecent. The custom with us has no useful feature, and the sooner it is abolished, the better." Yeah, I'm guessing that author didn't get a Valentine, or if he did, then it was a Vinegar Valentine. See, Vinegar Valentines became popular at basically the same time that regular Valentines did, but where a regular Valentine's card is to express your admiration and affection for someone, the Vinegar Valentine did the exact opposite. "Of little snobs I've seen a few, but none that I like less than you. This gentle hint I hope you'll take, and eyes at me no more you'll make." Many of them had these vicious little mean-spirited poems attached, and then the artwork was wonderfully ugly and yet absolutely fantastic in my personal opinion from 150 years removed. What I really appreciate is that they were very well balanced between being mean to men and mean to women. Some of my favorites include, "Handsome is as handsome does, which leaves a chance for you, since in appearance you are like a baboon in a zoo. In prison you ought to be doing some time, for to wear such a face must be surely a crime. If you 'mongst gorillas had chanced to be born, they would have disowned you with loathing and scorn, for a monkey, no matter how homely a brute, when placed beside you would be ranked as a beaut." And they didn't just attack your physical appearance, but your personality traits and hobbies as well. They would often criticize men for being vain and boring, and criticize women for reading novels, or having the audacity to want to vote. Or, of course, simply talking. "Pray take an honest friend's advice, or you will have to pay the price. Your idle tongue must cease to wag, or it will wear this warning tag." Now you might think that these were sent in jest or relegated to a small part of the population, but they weren't. They were sent in all sincerity and were very, very popular. In fact, eventually they became so popular that they made them not only to send to people that you didn't like as lovers, but also to just people you didn't like in general, your doctor or your lawyer, your surgeon. To the surgeon. "Ho ho, old sawbones, here you come, yes, when the rebels whack us, you are always ready with your traps to mangle, saw, and hack us." Eventually they became so vicious that the post office stopped delivering them, especially when it became popular to send them COD, or collect on delivery, meaning that the recipient had to pay a penny for the privilege of being insulted. They actually remained popular all through the 19th century and well into the 20th century, when they started to become rather libelous. One from the 1930s accuses the recipient of being a tax dodger. "You spend your waking hours in finding ways to duck the paying of an honest tax and rumbling o'er your luck." Now by the 40s and 50s they had started to disappear, but next time someone tells you that it was just better in the good old days before Twitter and internet trolls, when everyone was just nicer to each other, you just remind them that their great-grandparents might have been perfectly okay saying, "Hey lover boy, the place for you is home upon the shelf, 'cause the only one who'd kiss you is a jackass like yourself." So here's hoping none of you receive a Vinegar Valentine this year, but if you do, go ahead and make yourself a Bachelor or Bachelorette's Rose to ease the pain. And I will see you next time on Drinking History.